Howdy doody everyone, Wambu here, in 3D, made in a blender. I've been messing around with 3D modeling, and I'm kind of proud of the things I've made, but if I keep at it, I'll improve, and then I'll be retroactively embarrassed that I showed all that to you in the first place. And that's the eventual goal. All this is to say that I played the new Kirby game. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna sound like an absolute mole man if I get excited that a platforming game is in 3D. What's next? Shooting games that are in first person? RPGs that take place in a fantasy setting? Wambu being so sexy and handsome? These things happen all the time, so they shouldn't be a big deal, but in this case, it really is. It's been 22 years since Kirby graphically went 3D, and 11 years since they meant to go full 3D, but then didn't. The franchise has been building up to this, and not only is it finally here, it's really good. This might become one of my new favorite Kirby games cause it's just fantastic. Not since Return to Dreamland have we gotten something that made me personally fall in love with the foundations of this franchise all over again. And fittingly enough, that's why I'm singling out abilities as the topic once again. I mean, I guess I could have made top 10 things that Kirby puts in his mouth, but I'd probably just be saying the same shit for each one. It's funny, and I like doing the thing that the thing does. Not exactly very substantive. Abilities, on the other hand, oh, now we're getting some sauce in here. Not only have the abilities now been given room to thrive in a 3D environment, but they've also got evolutionary stages too. Fire isn't just fire, it's volcano fire, or dragon fire. I'm gonna be a dragon. Ow. Needle isn't just needle, it's a lot of sharp things. Crash isn't just crash, it's... Oh god, no, I don't want to make the reference. Please don't make me. And with an entire 12 abilities, really? There's only 12? Wow, how disappointing. I'm definitely very disappointed. Now I'm gonna have to do a worst to best ranking. Let's fucking go! I'm sorry, I love doing these. Any rules? Not really, but I should say that I have talked about copy abilities before. But my opinions tend to bounce around like billiard balls, so if you think you figured me out just because you watched this video from 5 years ago, all I can say is think again, 3-head. I'm about to expunge all expectations, pilfer all pretense, and something rule of threes. Anyway, here's the exceedingly obvious bottom spot. Yeah, that checks out. I'm tired of this shit too. Oh wow, an ability where Kirby is too tired to edit videos. I feel that.
Aw man, you're gonna fuck people up with the sleep ability. Okay, you're back to normal.
What?
Sleep has been kind of a nothing ability forever, so it's no surprise that it gets bottom spot, but punching down on sleep has never been a good look in the Kirby fandom. That being said, I chose the life of a rabble-rouser. I will die rousing every single rabble. The sleep ability is substantively limited and possesses no real active combat abilities, making it completely ineffective as a power, is what I would say if I was a completely unlikable headass. My criticism for sleep is that Kirby doesn't commit narcoleptic manslaughter. Yeah, real fucking smart, Poindexter.
I like murder. I like to kill people for fun.
I've never felt such an urge to flush my own head down the toilet. Practicality is not the reason why anyone likes sleep. It's kinda just not really worth talking about. The defenders of this ability normally fall into two camps. The first is that Kirby is very cute when he sleeps. Kirby is very cute all the time, and I'm more based than you. The second camp is that, well, it's just a joke ability. Why would you dislike it? It's funny. Is it really? Still? Sleep has been a part of the franchise for a long time now, and not once have I heard anyone be like, sleep? Sleep? And now he's got a bed? Oh, looks like the circus has come to town. Hey, leave. The most I could say for sleep this time around is that at least it heals and gives some good buffs, which is more than it normally does. But if you ask me, the height of this joke already happened in Kirby Battle Royale when it could actually fight. Maybe it's time to focus on other joke abilities now. This one right here. Do this one. As for sleep, I think it's run its course, and now we can finally put it to end it. You ever wonder why we're all here? I don't, cause I'm agnostic, and I never have any idea what's going on. I do think it's a cool topic to explore though, and games actually do it a lot more than I initially realized. Just recently, Pokemon made a game that said God is real and you are his vassal. That seems pretty cut and dry. I've also been playing Fire Emblem Three Houses, and boy is that one a doozy so far. What do you think, Kirby? Is God real?
The Pope is a nuke, and we're all gonna die from nuclear fallout!
So would this be classified as atomic Catholicism, or... well... divine intervention, am I right? I know it's not actually a Pope hat, I'm just weeding out people who are as stupid as me. Crash is a spectacle ability that turns Kirby into a walking explosive. You just kind of walk into a group of enemies and oh no! I accidentally Spec Ops the line a whole city block. They're so dramatic about it too. Oh, Wambu, stop killing us to death with military-grade explosives. I can never win, I'm the victim here. Anyway, it's a one-time usage. You drop it once and then it's expended, and that's why it's number 11. I see the next number isn't going to play until I do the rest of my job. Unlike Sleep, Crash has never really been a joke ability so much as it is a kinda cool and short one. You get it, you cause devastation, and then it's done. But like Sleep, this game does have its most interesting iteration. Funny steampunk Time Lord Kirby. It's called Time Crash. If I had to explain it succinctly, it's kinda like that one reference I said I didn't want to make. Okay, hold on, I can do better than this. Upon activation, the world around you slows down drastically and any enemy you come into contact with explodes. It's like freezing things in ice, but for time, you know, it's like good old time ice. The more enemies you explode on, the longer the ability is in effect. So along with being good for groups of enemies, it's also fun in continuous rooms with a bunch of guys spread around. I think it's great in its own right, but it is ultimately kind of ephemeral, and unfortunately, there just ain't much to say beyond that. See, was that so hard? I didn't even need to reference JoJo a single fucking damn it! Good news, everyone. We're done with the single-use abilities. The 10 remainders are fully fledged, full-time copy abilities. Dark days are done. Nothing but light on the horizon.
I'll take a potato chip.
Bad news is that I now have to pick the worst of those abilities. Even worse and or better news is that I picked Tornado. Well, this should be a breach of your trust in me to not be shitty and unfunny. I have no idea whether this is actually a controversial opinion or not. Like, I'm sure there's some fringe Tornado fans out there that feel a little disappointed in me.
Dear Wambu, I am a literal, actual typhoon, and go fuck yourself!
But for the most part, I have faith in others to be chill about this. Tornado has always been a passively fun ability to me. At its best, it's been highly mobile, kinda broken, but also a tad one-dimensional, and in this case, I'm not really sure that adding a new dimension to the game necessarily added a new dimension to the ability. See, in 2D, there was a frenetic zoominess to Tornado that made it pretty infectious to use, albeit in short bursts. Here, it's easier to use, but the vertical mobility has been substantially nerfed, not just to the ability, but to Kirby in general. So how do we evolve on the concept of being a tornado? Tornado dashing? Maybe we could become a bigger tornado, sucking up more things? Tornado projectiles? I could throw my fucking house! Or we could just become a more powerful tornado. That sort of works, I guess. Now, in all fairness, you can play a little more defensively by picking things up and trying to throw them back at other enemies. I do like that idea, because I like hitting people with things I shouldn't be hitting them with, but it's not really consistent enough to be a fully realized concept. In terms of effectiveness, it still pales in comparison to just being a tornado at everything until it dies. One day, this ability will turn me into a little old airbender, and it'll just be one of my favorite things ever. If not, then what the fuck? I guess bring Missile back, I don't know. This is where I go to talk about explosives now. So I love exploding things. It's in my top 5 ways to cause just indescribable chaos. In video games, at least. But I have this problem, which is that I don't think I enjoy explosions enough. See, I just feel empty inside right now. I've really wanted to like Bomb for a while, and this one time, I did. And then poof, never again. I don't know where the magic went. More often than not, it feels like a pretty unremarkable projectile that rarely has the damage to match the windup. I'm happy to say this is one of the better iterations, though. Having a full radius of directions to throw bombs in definitely gives it much more coverage, but they also managed to evolve the bombs in an interesting way, too. I feel like it would have been so easy for the developers to slip into tornado syndrome and go, here's a bomb, make it bigger, give it more damage, it's a bombier bomb now. We did it! You all get a raise. Go home and love the fuck out of your spouses. Fortunately, they didn't do that, though. Well, okay, they might have done the last part, but that's besides the point. Instead, they gave the bomb a chaining feature, where bombs in close proximity of each other can create a bigger explosion together. And in the final evolution, the bombs even hone in on enemies. From a design standpoint, I think it's a really cool and unique. But why is it number 9, though? You know, it's just a really neat way of creating. Why is it number 9? Because I'm fucking stupid. Okay? For as much as I like the ability and concept, I feel like it's made for people with rhombocosi dodecahedron brains. And mine is just brain-shaped, you know. A square. Every single time I either accidentally collide the bombs, or I throw them too far apart, or end up positioning them badly, or they start moving before I've even thrown more of them in the case of the homing bombs. Maybe I'm thinking too much and I could just spam it and ultimately be fine, but I feel like there's a more deliberate method that is just going way over my brain. Ultimately though, while bombs still didn't click with me much more, it's at least a new way of not appealing to me, and I personally welcome that. Final note, the homing bomb has a lovely hat, especially the earpiece, as if Kirby is specifically directing the bombs on where to go.
Hi, I'd like to order a hamburger.
Command not recognized. I am made to explosively terminate your enemies.
Okay, you can do that then.
Order received. Commencing.
Oh, come now, little old me a hero. Surely you just...
Can I also get fries with that?
Oh.
I need fire!
Someone clip that, please.
Please.
Hey, Dog Charity streamer Wambu, there's a fire guy right there. One of you guys can have my eyes, I'm clearly not using them. Fire is kind of like my ultimate standard. If I like you less than fire, then I'm probably kind of meh on you. And if I like you better than fire, then I probably think you're great. And if you are fire, then, well, I like you just fine. And your countdowns are probably goated. I tend to think of fire mostly as that ability that is alright damage-wise and utility-wise with some neat little tricks here and there. I'm a fire wheel for like 2 feet. I like it. Fire in this game doesn't have those neat tricks. Instead, you've basically just picked up a flamethrower. It is just a continuous stream of pain and suffering. And I should maybe be annoyed at the reduction of the ability's bells and whistles to just its base components, but weirdly, I'm not. Because at the very least, it's really good at singeing the eyeballs of my enemies with the flames of my wrath. And I'm very wrathful, as you guys know. That's like 4 feet of just misanthropy, disarray, and cantankerousness, which of course is reflected on me as a person. I'm very dangerous. Everyone fears me. My point is that the ability went back to basics, but at least the basics are better. The jump attack is more spammable, the reach is greater, and burning is now a terrifyingly effective status that works even on bosses. And then in my script it says, casually torches ecosystem to prove my point. Yeah, see, there it is. I wish I could say I'm being super reductive here, but I honestly don't think I am. My enjoyment of the ability extends about as far as my enjoyment of fire as a concept. I like it, but alone, it's only gonna get you so far. Yo, that's me. Going back to the question from a while ago now, is God real? mean, look at this. You all probably see a very cool sword. I see a big fucking elephant that needs addressing. There was a time where I called sword my absolute favorite copy ability ever, and I sure did make that opinion public. It was the one ability where I couldn't really find anything to dislike, plus it always seemed to get more interesting with each passing game. Then we got to Forgotten Land, and I was hearing real good things about sword.
Well, Wambu, it's 2022, and everyone now agrees with your super cool opinion about the sword ability. How do you feel?
This opinion has haunted me for 5 years, and I take it all back. I don't know what to say. In retrospect, I wish I gave it to Ryu from Streets. But Fighter ain't in this game, so I guess I'm talking about this again. I used to think my lack of criticisms for Sword meant that it was just my favorite ability. Now I think it's more accurate to describe it as a comfortable ability. You know, it's not shy on power, you got decent range, good speed, a couple projectile options, and some nice combo ability. One thing I feel I definitely got right back in the day is that Sword really comes off like Hal's favorite little guy. Not only has it got one of the most fleshed out move pools in the whole game, but it's also one of 2 abilities in this game with 4 different variations. This is where I feel a little conflicted, because by the time Kirby starts cosplaying Meta Knight,
fight me,
I'm more than content enough with the upgraded foundations and all of the stylistic flourishes that come with it. Howdy doody, everyone. But then it goes another step beyond and introduces Morpho Sword. It is the most powerful ability in the game. Its attacks are huge, they do crazy damage, and you even heal yourself with each hit. And yet, I don't know that I really like it. Sure, it's a crazy power trip that basically acts as a post-game reward, but I don't know, using it kind of feels like I'm playing a Warriors game. Like I'm killing everything and it's very stylish and very cool, but my brain is just off. And don't get me wrong, there's still plenty of abilities that are way simpler than this that I absolutely love. Those, of course, will go unnamed for Needle, but even those feel to me like I still have to try at the end of the day. At the very least, I take it as a very kind gesture. This ability that I've really enjoyed for years and once called my favorite has risen to the point of being the practical best and continues to innovate on itself a lot between games. I graciously accept the gift, but being God is too much for me. Can I abdicate a copy ability? I don't care, I'm doing it anyway.
So, Mr. Wambu, is it? Tell us what brings you to Icers Anonymous.
I have a well-documented fanatical obsession with freezing people.
Truly? Well, how bad is it?
I froze all your other attendees with liquid nitrogen.
Get the fuck out of here!
And just like that, I was cured. I've loved ice as an element for a very long time, partially as a side for my much larger love of snow, and partially as just a dope fighting style. And Kirby as a franchise has been knocking out of the park for a while now, and I don't just mean the ice ability when I say that. Squeak Squad had Ice Sword and Ice Bombs, Star Allies had freeze variants, and my favorite Kirby game, 64, is just an unbelievable cavalcade of good fucking ice.
Wait, hold on, no, not that one.
I love this ability, forever and romantically. Ice in Kirby is so fun for me because it actually combines 2 of my favorite killing methods, freezing and hyukin. Like, they don't just stop at being frozen. One slight touch from Kirby's tiny little nub, and they're just fucking off. Now, this mainly applies to ice in a general sense. If we're talking Forgotten Land specifically, I only kinda love it so much. This is great. I'm really happy to say that they adapted ice in a really smart way. I'm about to cover a few changes in quick succession to illustrate that point, but where to begin?
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
Ooh, I'm motherfuckers. This has always been a cute little stylistic flair, but the ability to skate over water and lava has felt kinda niche in the grand scheme of things. Here, it seems like they built more levels around it and gave Ice's unique style of traversal more of a point. The dash attack also feels more like a dash attack. The momentum carries over a little more, and it feels like it's actually affected by the terrain. I feel like I'm a cool death sled, okay? This ability made me excited about hills. Also, like fire, freezing in and of itself is a status that can be used against bosses. But whereas the fire status is an ever-escalating scale of pain and torment, the ice builds up all of its damage in a burst. Like you just... yeah, that should be enough. And then let's try... what about what I was talking about earlier? You know, where you freeze guys and then careen them back to their home planet. Like if you want projectile ice, that should be harder in 3D since we're dealing with more horizontality than just left and right. That's where these guys come in. See, you could be a YouTuber and have friends. Oh shit, there they go. Now, I'm not gonna act like these are the most reliable or easy to use or companionable projectiles, but I do think it's a smart way to adapt to a new dimension. And I could say that about most of the design philosophy around ice. It's all familiar, but with new layers of utility and charm. If I had to cherry pick, and I mean really cherry pick, I'd have to say the second form in the evolutionary line, Frosty Ice, is easily the cutest one, and I kinda wish it were the third form instead. Still, I give it honorary 4th best hat in the game. That's right, I'm giving you a countdown within a countdown now, except this one's out of order. Fucking buckle in. Memes. They exist, and this game has a lot of them. They're great. My existence over the past several months has been just inundated with these visionary ways of consuming totally inanimate, insentient doodads. I love it, but I'm speaking plainly about them because I'm worried I'll ruin the joke if I try to do my own version of it. I guess I'll give it a try, though.
Come on, do it. Just eat my computer, damn you.
I don't think it's working.
Shut up, me.
Personally, though, I was one of the people who couldn't get that new copy ability out of my head. They fucking gave Kirby a drill. He has a drill now. I mean, come on. Kirby, drill, lunacy. Absolute absurdity. The first of Forgotten Land's totally new copy abilities. Hey, what are you doing? Fucking put that away. It's completely different, okay? Fucking Kyzer.
Wambu, I am going to debate you on this. I use it. It's broken. Look. It's broken! Say out Wambu. Much love to you, and I respect your opinion, but
Anyway, the first of Forgotten Land's totally new copy abilities. Drill honestly took me by surprise with how much I liked it. Finally, a good Earth ability. Like, we've gotten close before, but Animal doesn't really have any Earth-centric attacks. It's more of a traversal thing. And Stone is boring. Like, no offense to Rocky, and you know I gotta put some respect on Moundo. But the ability itself is just so painfully one note. If I had to rank the classical elements in the broad context of Kirby, it'd go Earth, Air, Fire, Water. In this game, however, it's Air, Fire, Water, Earth. That's a huge deal to me specifically, as a total dork about ranking shit. Drill sort of feels like the 3D successor to Animal, where the digging mechanic in particular takes center stage. Every attack is pretty much wrapped around this one action, be it diving into the ground, jumping out of the ground, or creating big fissures by looping the trails. Not a super substantive ability by any means, but one with a really satisfying flow. It's super easy to consistently dig, draw a little heart, watch the earth shatter under the spell of your artistry, and then leap right back into the ground like a funny little land dolphin. Match it with simple but imaginative enough puzzles to base it around, and I think it's just straightforwardly really fun. Pause. You might have looked at the footage here and thought, Wambu, is that drill a pencil? And I'm here to tell you that your eyes don't deceive you. That is in fact the third best hat in the game. Glad you noticed. It doesn't land any higher because as it is now, it's a great ability with the bones of something amazing. Maybe if we get an actual modernized version of Animal, we could take this concept even further, but let this be a lesson in the importance of good game feel. It's not the game's imaginative height, but it is very satisfying for what it is. You dig? Damn fucking right you do. I say this having 3 more copy abilities that I enjoy more. Number 4 on the list goes to the only ability that matters. Look, it's not my favorite ability either, otherwise it'd be higher, but it's the only one that matters, okay? I don't make the rules here. So being another uber simple ability, you'd think this would kind of fall into the same category as Drill. Like, it's great, but with the bones of something amazing, right? Nope. For one, you can't make a video game with a pile of bones, you dummy. Second, how dare you steal my talking point from like half a minute ago? It can't be that sound an argument if I said it. To explain for people who may not know, Needle Kirby is kind of the spiritual return of 64's Swiss Army ability mixed with Katamari. The main and really only move sees Kirby roll and jump around as a ball of needles. He can only stay this way for a limited time, but by sticking objects or enemies onto him, he can keep maintaining momentum. Once the limit runs out or the player stops holding B, anything that was previously picked up will be thrown forwards as a projectile. Kind of like Tornado, but much easier to control. That's all there is to it, but in my opinion, that's all it needs. I studied game design in college for 3 years, and while I never got a career in game development, I can still hear that mini designer in my brain just squeaking with enjoyment. See, there it is. Shut the fuck up. Unironically, I think this ability is kinda genius. In any normal level, it's a super fun exercise in trying to maintain momentum, while in boss fights, it really nicely incentivizes learning enemy attacks and turning their own power around on them. It's so easy to understand, yet it's just brimming with possibility and imagination. It's so foundationally fun that it could honestly be its own game. Oh my god, this should totally be its own game. I don't know if it would be a racing game or platforming game or puzzle game, but I am convinced that it would be super dumb fun regardless. And I guess if no one else makes it, then I will. This is Bip Farful Goik, my special spiky boy. He's so happy to exist. Now on to the coding.
Hello, I'm John.
To introduce the next entry, I'm gonna tell you guys a funny story. When I was just a baby, my mom used to tell me, son, always be a baby. Don't ever play with guns, or I'll throttle you, you little shrimp. In spite of this, I did shoot a man in Redgar, Forbidden Lands, with my blunderbuss, akimbo pop gun, space ray, just to watch him die. We're finally at the ability that double backflip McTwist slammed the entire internet when it was first revealed. Someone called Shadow. We finally found him a friend. I gotta admit, I was maybe a bit more skeptical on Ranger than most. Like, I saw it in the trailers and I was like, wow, I sure do love manual aiming controls in my 3D platformer. And now I've totally turned around on it. I'm all, wow, I sure do love manual aiming controls in my 3D platformer. It's a lot more fun than I thought it'd be, just dispatching random enemies from miles and miles away, like a distance demon. Ranger feels like a full realization of the foundations introduced by abilities like Cupid or Archer. And while both of those abilities were good, and while Archer was good, they still felt like they suffered a little from being so boxed in by a 2D space. Ranger, on the other hand, gets to really make use of how open everything is. And to me, at least, that makes all the difference in the world between a range user and a fully bolded, italicized marksman. No, marksman, not marksman. Mosey on the fuck out of my face, clown. Okay, so you can ding enemies from far away. What else? Next, you're gonna tell me you can use a hammer to hit a nail. Shh, that's later. While the ability is admittedly a little simple, it has a good amount of variation between the 3 evolutionary stages. The blunderbuss fires a big chunky boy, the noble ranger is rapid fire, and the space ray fires oh fuck. They're all super fun in a similar but distinct way, plus they all have really fire hats. Speaking of which, this one is 5th best, while this one is 2nd best. Plus all 3 have one of my favorite dodge attacks in the game. Honestly, I probably didn't even need to explain the appeal of it, since everyone already seems to agree that it's awesome, so maybe I'll take a different approach. Why didn't I give number 1 a gun?
Yes. No.
As great as it is, it's not an ability I'm about to sit here and place on a pedestal like it's the apex of fun. Nah, I think more accurately, this is the Wambu wants to stop messing around and just plain win ability. I just fucking strut into the true arena as a space Kirby, fire black holes at everything, and unload my whole ass clip. It works, but it is not a mood I always want to be in necessarily. Messing around is like 70% of my identity. Is it a bit too safe to be enjoyable in a zanier way? Yeah. But do I want it to be in every future installment, assuming we get more games like this? You're goddamn right. Last time an ability made this much sense to me was when we got water like 11 years ago. It makes such perfect sense for Kirby, and it's so comfortable that it feels like it's been around forever. Plus, it thematically works. I've spent a whole franchise dealing with all sorts of crazy cosmic horrors, including this game. And let's be real, that's not a spoiler. But this time, the crazy cosmic horror is me. Did you know that you can use a hammer to hit a nail? I think everyone except me is completely unsurprised that Hammer ranked this high.
You like hammers, don't you, Wambu?
It ranked high in my first Kirby list too, but I don't think you guys realize just how much Hammer was wearing off on me over the years. Like, yeah, it's always been the S tier clobber the true arena ability, but god did it get boring for me in that lane. My guy here has enough power to fragmentalize your whole family at once, but he has to be in goddamn full body hugging range to do it. Forgotten Land gave Hammer an insane glow up, and it did it without even changing much of the fundamentals. If anything, they just gave everything an enhancement. The power is even greater. The range actually exists. You can swing your hammer in the air and bounce it off the ground to combo into another swing. More than anything though, I think Hal just really nailed the feel of it this time. In a lot of the old games, you'd hit a boss or an enemy with a strong swing, and you'd clearly see a health bar go down, but visually and audibly, there's not much to indicate a particularly strong hit. My only metric was whether or not the enemy just kind of flies off when you hit them. If so, then I guess it was a pretty big hit. Not bad by any means, but here, every hit feels glancing. Each impact accented with a satisfying boosh, or thwap, or kabong, or whatever your favorite blunt force onomatopoeia is, you weird psycho. I also like the way they handle the evolutions this time around. While it still technically follows a linear upgrade progression, they feel a lot more like lateral changes compared to the other abilities, and I enjoy all the forms. Honestly, the base form in terms of game feel might be my overall favorite, being less powerful but ever so slightly more nimble than the other forms. Base form, more like based form. I hate myself. Toy Hammer, however, is a nice happy medium, a little slower, but noticeably more powerful. Plus it gets a bonus for being the squeakiest of the hammers. Jury's still out on Wild Hammer. It's probably my least favorite of the evolutions for being the slowest, but even the dodgiest hammer ranks high in my books. Casual reminder, I did say earlier in the video that there were 2 copy abilities with 4 evolutionary stages. While not as broken as Morpho Sword, Masked Hammer is like the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Two of them now.
Some fucking lunatic at HAL Laboratories looked at a picture of Kirby with a hammer with his big ol' eyeballs and said, you know what we're missing? A third world-ending crisis. Oh god, and we finally have projectiles with this ability too. Let this be a lesson, y'all. You don't need a million bells and whistles to be among the best. Sometimes you can just understand your own appeal no matter how one-dimensional it may seem and refine it to perfection. This might not be number 1, but it is pretty handily my favorite iteration of this ability ever. It's phenomenal. Before we see what beat it out though, here are some honorable mentions. Is what I would say if this wasn't a worst to best ranking, you unbelievable dingies. I'm on a different wavelength right now. Keep the hell up. Get on my level.
Kirby's here to like repair your car. Do they bounce off walls? Oh my god, that's so sick.
That hat, like, honestly seems like it's just gonna clear the screen.
So my favorite thing about this ability is that the buzzsaws come from a can opener.
Oh, true.
Yep, we're going with it. Listen, I know I sound stupid right now, but I have a good excuse for this. I am stupid. Now that I look at it, it could be something other than a can opener. Like maybe a pizza cutter. Wambu, it's clearly a buzzsaw. You're right, disembodied commenter. It is a can opener. I'm sorry, I love this headcanon too much. Speaking of heads and cannons, it's one thing to bring a previously loved ability back into my good graces, but it is a whole other thing entirely to turn me around on an ability that I previously thought was lame as hell. Like, how the fuck did this happen? I've never liked Cutter, ever. I always thought it was just kinda niche in a really boring way. Good at solving puzzles, but pretty underweight in every other regard. It didn't just come around on me though, it launched ahead of me, ricocheted everywhere, and came back to me with everyone whom I've ever wished death upon diced up on a nice platter. An ability that amounts to a boomerang has no business being this useful or fun, but trust me.
Definitely the new sexy.
In retrospect, what I really needed from this ability was more versatility and more power. It has the power now, and it has several more dimensions in which to nuke someone from orbit. And it's not like Bomb where you need to be a total 7-head either. Spam that shit if you really want, and you'll still get an array of chakram at least, and a fucking super Meat Boy level at most. But if you do treat this ability with the mind of a devious little gremlin bastard, then you will quickly learn that positioning is everything.
Can I like jump over and then...
Yeah! That was so sick! Okay, yeah, no, that was actually sick as fuck.
The moveset pretty much hinges on 2 moves, but not only do they combo perfectly into each other, both of them hit with the might of a freight train. Especially against bosses, it's all about constantly finding creative ways to punish enemies and snowball the damage from just about anywhere. The tools are all at your disposal, and it may seem kind of tricky at first, but once it clicks, it feels like the game is constantly rewarding you for finding imaginative ways to make fucking mincemeat out of your foes. Every successful snipe or combo feels so slick and satisfying. You might have noticed that I'm kinda hard focusing on the can motherfucking opener in particular, and you're right. I had to make an important decision here, okay? Do I pick the ability that feels most consistent across all evolutionary stages, or my single favorite stage of any ability? I picked the latter, and I hold to it. Base form and chakram are good too, but I could say for sure that I've never enjoyed learning the intricacies of an ability like this before. It is earnestly some of the most fun I've personally had with Kirby in a long time. My delightfully devilish dumbass brain ain't hit serotonin like this in a while, and if my gushing about a seemingly banal ability hasn't been enough of a power move for you, then I put it at number 1 on the other list too. Yeah, that's the list you guys really cared about, isn't it? Go fuck yourself, you irony poisoned goblins. But also, you know, take care, and I love you. Bye.